Welcome back. For the next piece of this lesson, let me just review where we have been. We started with our factors and multiples flashcards. We looked at prime and composite numbers. We looked at building up multiples and breaking down prime factors. And we did some prime factorization problems, and now we are looking at divisibility rules. So in your memory pieces kit, you have this piece that has 6 divisibility rules that we need to add, and I showed you in the assembly video how to put this together. So this should already be attached. Well, maybe not attached. If you haven't attached it yet, go ahead and put this down wherever you want it to be. Remember that you will just glue behind this tab. You do not want to stick the whole thing down because you want those piano keys to open up so that you can write underneath there. So if you haven't already done that, go ahead and attach this piece wherever you want it to be, and then I will go through the rules with you. We are still breaking down. We are dividing. So I'm going to have to, because I can't lift my piano keys, I'm going to have to work this a little bit differently. I guess I'll just start here at the top. I may just use the color of ink to match. Let's see if this will work. The first thing I'm going to do is the divisibility by 2. So if you lift up this piano key, lay it back so that you can write underneath there. This is the divisibility rule by 2. A number is divisible by 2 if, and here's the rest of that. And let me just put this here so you can, since I can't raise up my door to write under it, I'm going to write it up here. It is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even. And I will give you some examples, so try to squeeze that in there. And what I mean by that is that the last digit is a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. For example, let's do 100,008, 394. I can tell you quickly that this will divide by 2 because this last digit, the 4, is even. And that tells me that this entire number is divisible by 2. So there is that rule for the 2's. A number is divisible by 3. I'm not going to use yellow ink because that won't show up well. This one's a little bit trickier, but let's get it down and then we'll talk about it. If the sum, remember that means to add, the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. For example, let's look at the number 354. So if we want to know if 3 will divide evenly into 354, we would take the 3 plus the 5 plus the 4. 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 4 is 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. So we would say that 354 is divisible by 3. If the sum of the digits can be divided by 3, then the entire number can be divided by 3. That one's a little bit harder to understand. but it's a very valuable trick to know. And we're going to do a practice page for these. So if you're still not sure about those, just hang with me. We will do some practice. Okay, let's take a look at the 4. And that one I can use some green ink, I think. So a number is divisible by 4. Let me zoom in for you. We're working with 4. The last 2 digits are divisible by 4. So if the last 2 digits will break down by 4, the entire number will break down by 4. And here's an example. 9,248. So let's look at the last 2 digits, 4 and 8. You don't have to add them or anything. You just have to think 48 divided by 4 is 12. So if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4, the entire number is divisible by 4. Okay, moving on. The 5 is one of the easier divisibility rules. A number is divisible by 5 in one of 2 situations. You may already even know this one. If you work with money, this one is a little bit easier to remember. If the last digit is a 5 or a 0, for example, 3,675, that ends in a 5, so you can divide the entire number by 5. Or 2,790, that one ends in a 0. So if it ends in a 0 or a 5, you can divide the entire number by 5. Okay, for divisibility by 9. Oh, sorry, I'm on my eraser. The sum of the digits is divisible by 9. For example, 279. And I ask you, can I divide that number by 9? To know whether you can, you add up the digits. 2 plus 7 plus 9, that equals 18. 18 can be divided by 9. And so 279 can be divided by 9. So you get the sum of the digits and you see if that is divisible by 9. Okay, my favorite one, because I use this one all the time, is the divisibility by 10. So let's add this one in there. And let me change the ink color just so you are staying with me. This one is pretty straight to the point. If the number ends in a 0, it's divisible by 10. So for example, 1,695,240. It ends in a 0, so it can be divided by 10. I do want to give you the divisibility by 6. I forgot to put that one in the table here. I didn't make a piano key for that one. But let me tell you that one anyway, because it's an important one. Sometimes you need to know if your number will divide by 6. So let's just add this as a side note down there on the page. If the number can be divided by 2 and 3, it is divisible by 6. And be careful, I'm not saying 2 or 3, I'm saying 2 and 3. So let's look at an example of that one. Let's do 3036. So first I need to test for the divisibility by 2. And remember, if you're dividing by 2 and it ends in an even number, so the 6 is even, it is divisible by 2. 3, it has to pass the sum of the digits test. So we would say 3 plus 0 plus 3 plus 6. And we have 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 does divide by 3. So yes, it is divisible by 2 and 3. And as long as I check 2 and 3, I can say that it is divisible by 6. That one's pretty complicated, but we are going to practice it. We're going to practice a lot of examples in our next exercise. I am going to stop the video because I don't want it to get to be so long. So I'll come back and do the practice with you in a different video clip. But we will be practicing all of these rules. Remember, memory pieces are designed to help you memorize the rules. That's why I'm having you to lift the door, so that you can quiz yourself. You can practice without seeing the answers. And that helps you commit these facts to memory. If you have questions on these rules, please contact your instructor. They can be a little bit tricky, but I think the practice exercise will help you. And we'll get to that in the next clip.